Hey fam, I hope you're doing fine. Welcome to yet another episode of the Evolve with Intent podcast. I am your host, Joanne, and if it's your first time here, this is a personal development podcast where we talk all things growth, self-discovery in order to become the best versions of ourselves as early as we can. Now, in today's episode, I want to share something that's been on my mind a lot lately. I tend to watch movies a lot, and I've noticed that when scenes of a therapy session come on, I am so attentive, and I've been watching Suits and these sessions where they keep happening all the time, like at least in every episode. Louis goes to see his therapist, and I mean, it's something I'd been paying attention to even in other movies or other series before, and it had me thinking that you can actually be your own therapist. I mean, at least for people in Uganda, we all know therapy can be such an expensive thing to even opt for, but I've been constantly trying to pay so much attention so that I can try something like that on myself to see if it actually works. Honestly, for the short time that I've tried it, I must say I've noticed or learned so many things about myself by just sitting down, and apart from just really reflecting, I ask myself these questions that a normal therapist would ask you on a normal day. So in today's episode, I just want to take you guys through things I've embraced that I hope you can try to try and become your own therapist and see how well that goes for you. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I live in my head a lot. I am a very emotional person. I tend to think through things a lot before they actually even happen. Most people would call this anxiety and I know for a fact I'm not the only one who experiences it. Maybe you do experience it too, but you just don't know what it is. So for someone who struggles with things like that, I felt so drawn to these therapy sessions because you notice that doctor asks the patient, how are you today? How was your day? Like their first interactions really are to just get on the same page of things. How are you? How do you feel? Are you happy? Are you comfortable? What's bothering you? So usually what I do, I check in with myself too. How am I feeling? Am I happy? Am I content? If I am struggling with something, is there something I can do about it? Do I have control over this? So for me, this has really helped me stay in check with my thoughts, first of all, for someone who lives a lot in their head, and my emotions, so that I'm just not easily irritable about any form of discomfort. So this is something you should try if you're someone who is always probably complaining, not because you're ungrateful, but you just feel like nothing is going right with yourself. So these check-ins for me have honestly taught me something, which is I am so aware of myself. I don't know, but I feel like that's such a privilege. I know why I feel the way I feel about people, about places, about stuff, food, or things, or the fact that I keep, like, even when I'm hanging out with my friends, I do those check-up sessions in my head, really, like for a few seconds. Am I okay here? Am I comfortable? Am I happy? Is this where I want to be? So when I do those things, I even tend to be more present in the moment, than actually living in my head. It actually helps me stay present wherever I am at the moment. So for every emotion that you feel each day, anywhere you are, be it at work, on court, or wherever you spend your time, there is a reason. As much as it could be someone else pissed you off and now you're feeling angry, there is always another reason to that. Like, not everything is someone has pissed me off, I'm coming at them. Like, it's never action. Usually, most of the emotions we experience are usually because of an underlying reason that if you do not learn self-control, self-awareness, it will be hard for you to cope. Now, something happened over the weekend. I was trying to travel back to Kampala, and I was at my sister's house, and she was trying to keep me, hold on, you go later. And honestly, she's going to be mad when she hears this. She was getting me so pissed that she kept dragging me and telling me to stay. and we're going to afternoon, I don't know, 2-3, and I'm still, trying to tell her, please let me go. And it's like, hold on, what's up? What are you rushing to go and do? And in that moment, I was really upset. But then I thought through it. I'm like, this is actually maybe not even about me. I need to think through where she's coming from. So in that case, she's coming from a place, she probably wants you to stay longer because she wants to spend more time with you. Now, the unaware version of me, the old me, honestly, would have changed face and had a gloomy face the whole time, made the whole afternoon as weird as it can be because she's holding me back. So you get my point. Like, for every action, really, for every time you feel uncomfortable or angry or upset, or you feel like your esteem is crashing, there is always an underlying reason. And self-awareness or self-reflection will really teach you that not everything that happens, you are the main character, really, or everything is about you. Usually, even the other person is also dealing with their own baggage, and, so do those regular check-ins with yourself, probably daily or weekly or as often as you can. It doesn't have to be you get to sit. You could be in a taxi and stuck in traffic, and you just take a few seconds in your head and find out, how are you doing? How did your day go? If the things that did not go as planned, was it your fault? Is there something you can do about it? Is it something you have control over? I feel like these things really help you stay afloat. Like, why things turned out that way. Now, while I continue to watch those therapy sessions, really, that Lewis kept attending, I don't know if you guys have watched it. Please go watch it. It's such a nice show. I noticed the issues he had. I'm sorry, I keep using him as an example. I don't know if it's because I actually related with his issues, his temper, his esteem issues, him lashing out at everyone had a lot to do with what he had experienced as a child, which brings me to the word we all keep throwing around: trauma. I had childhood trauma. Maybe that's why you have issues today. That's why you have low confidence, self-esteem, daddy issues. Like, we throw those words around a lot lately, carelessly, and maybe in some cases they actually fit. But I've also learned that there is a lot that happened to us as children that we've probably lost touch with. There are things that may have happened in your childhood that are actually affecting the person you are today. In my reflection situations, really, I have noticed that a lot that happened in my childhood has a lot to do with who I've become today. So even in my friendships or relationships, I know why I'm attracted to person A instead of person B. One, it's either because that's who I've grown to become. Then the other reasons I've learned are things that happened to me, which I'll not share here, of course. But the point here is you need to try as much as you can to remember the things that happened to you while you're at home with your parents, with your siblings, in your primary schools, in your secondary schools, because in your mind you think this is just something, but you have no idea how those things actually get to affect you as a child. Because I've learned that at that time your mind believed that, even when it's not true, your mind believed that. Take, for example, that love is when your man hits you because you saw your parents hitting each other, and somehow you grow up to think that if your husband is not beating you, then it's not love. So the things, the scenarios, the situations that happen to you as a child, or the things you're exposed to, or the things that you watched a lot. I was telling a friend the other day that I don't like cats because I watched a lot of Nigerian movies where they painted cats as ghosts, as the devil, and somehow I have failed to get over that fear and their eyes, that I failed to get over the fear that cats are just normal pets and good pets, or whichever feeling people have about them. I feel like I just can't trust them, that there is like some other underlying reason they're just existent. So I think my point here really is you really have to be very aware of yourself, of your emotions, of your thoughts, of everything. And for me, this has helped me notice the patterns that keep happening in my life repeatedly. Like if this year I was struggling with this and then I notice it again next year or 2 years later, or even in my girl friendships or male friendships or relationships, I am so aware of myself that I can tell when I am not feeling something. And then I ask myself again, why? Why do I feel like this? Is it about me? Is it about the other person? Is there something I can do about it? Is there something the other person can do about it? It has really helped me stay afloat with all these other emotions and issues that I struggle with. And this has really helped me get selective with who I spend my time with, who I am with. Like, I am not anywhere or I'm not doing anything that I know I do not want to do. I remember last year when I was resigning from my job, a friend told me, "You girl, you're so brave." And I was telling them, I'm like, I know for a fact deep inside my bone that I do not want to be here. There is no reason for me to stay. So this is not something that really that comes like in a month. Really, I remember I've been to places where I was uncomfortable. Like, I just accept to go because and then I end up in a place and I am so uncomfortable the whole time. And in my head, I'm like, why did I even come here? So this whole self-awareness, self-reflection has taught me one thing. I am very aware of myself. If I do not want to do something, I will not do it. Not because I am big-headed, of course, but because I am at a point in my life where I am just very in touch with my nails, with my toes, with my hair, with my heart, with my mind and soul. And I thought it's something I should share with you guys. Most of the times we end up in situations that if you were only present enough with yourself, you could have avoided. That only if you loved yourself enough to stay present with yourself, you would have known that this is not right for me. This is not something I want to do with my life. This is not something I even want to spend 30 minutes doing. This is a conversation I do not want to be having. This is food I do not want to be eating. This is company I don't want to be keeping, because you know yourself well enough to trust yourself to know that I didn't go because I actually prefer staying by my place. So I am not a therapist really, and I don't know what issues you suffer with, but I remember in our very first episodes, I said, I know I am not superwoman. The things I experience, we all do experience. The fear of the unknown, anxiety, our low esteem, our lack of confidence, like all these other issues we struggle with in our heads. I know I'm not the only one who experiences them. But I promise you one thing, that if you try as much as you can to stay aware of yourself, you will find ways to cope. So identify how you feel, and then find out why you feel that way, and then find ways of addressing that. Is it something you have control over? Because I am doing the work, and honestly, I don't want to say I've hacked it all. I am still trying to find out why I am anxious all the time about different things in life. I realize that I am afraid most of the times because I don't know what the unknown holds for me. Like I'm those people who prefer to be in charge, yeah? Like I'm more comfortable in spaces where I know the outcome really. So most of the time it holds me back a lot. Like, I'd rather not take the risk because I don't know how it's gonna turn out. But like I said, once you notice the repeated, if you're aware of yourself, you'll notice the repeated patterns in your life. You'll know why this person keeps getting into your head. You'll know why you keep feeling down on Sundays. You'll know why Christmas days remind you of so much pain. And once you hack that, you will be way more in charge of your emotions. You know, before I recorded this episode, I'd been thinking a lot about these episodes. I'm like, isn't every Tuesday to Sun, how people actually persist all this information that we share in these episodes? And then I thought, I'm like, I actually hope we are growing along together, guys. As much as we have these conversations, I hope you actually put these things to your mind and think about them and put them to good use. Because I've been thinking about growth and how you have to shed off old versions of yourself to step into the new person that you want to become. And I thought that it's so sad that along your journey, there are some people that you have to outgrow, which is such a, I don't know, it's such a sad experience for you to outgrow your friends or some of your family members because you've seen the new light. Really, it has happened to me, honestly, from the time I decided I'm like, I need to outgrow some things or unlearn some things or learn new things. I've honestly lost probably touch with some of my friends or some of my family members, and it's such a sad thing, which brings me to the point that I want to emphasize here. Once you listen to an episode or something that actually gets to your head, share it on with a friend or actually have a conversation about it with your friends so that you grow along with them. It will be such a sad thing for you to get to a point and realize all your friends are left behind. One, because they didn't know better. But I mean, that's the whole reason we have this podcast for us to know better early enough, really. So you can as well have these conversations on with your friends about different things in life, about their emotions, about basketball, about careers, about growth, about what they think. Like, I think the first step to change is conversation. Like, let's talk about it. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Now, I hope you have learned a thing or two in all our episodes. Please pass it on to a friend. The whole point here is for us to grow and evolve intentionally and get our lives together as early as we can. So I appreciate you for taking the time to listen into this episode. I will see you on the next one. Bye.